Hello everybody, welcome back to Fuller's Let's Play Bedrock Episode 9. However, it is not Bedrock anymore. See, about a month ago, it started crashing, and I couldn't actually play my game for about a week, 2 weeks, somewhere around there, and I decided I would just switch to Bedrock, add some mods for quality of life's sake, and learn to play the game all over again, basically. I did get to transfer my world, as you can see. There were some issues, however. This furnace is empty? Oh, I don't suppose that it kept any of my supplies. Oh, and the chest isn't working. A sorting system's not working. How is the sorting system not working? There's nothing in the space. After fixing those issues, I decided to add some quality of life mods into the mix. In the end, I think I have a game that's actually working pretty darn smoothly. I think I'm kind of enjoying having Java Edition, enjoying having mods again, and enjoying just fixing the game the way I want it to be fixed and playing it the way I want it to be played. All that being said, I have spent quite a bit of time just adding in a lot of different things, so let's jump right into all the changes that I have made. One of the things I did add in is this creature right here. Now, the creature over there is kind of a hodgepodge of kind of this mixture of things being created. I wanted it to look like it was really struggling to just survive. It wasn't quite fully formed. However, this one is. Let's see if I can do this without falling off. So this one kind of has a similar look to a Zergling, if you can imagine that from... Oh, look at that guy down there. If you can imagine that from StarCraft, it is a little bit different. Obviously, it's red. Zerglings are brown, and this one, I just decided that I wanted to have like a carapace on the outside, so that's what the glowstone is, along with some horn-like features. Those are kind of like throwing arms, so it's throwing some of the plague, that red stuff over there. It's throwing some of that red stuff over there to try to break down this force field. You can see that there's orange and yellow glass kind of creating this effect, like it was destroying the stuff as it was getting thrown. And that lines up with these blocks down there, along with the big smash into that. So I actually went on this side and put glass on this side as well to try to make it look like the shield was actually doing its job. I did change the spaceship that I had built because the original one was just a little bit too rigid and I didn't quite have a clear picture of what it was that I wanted to create. So over time, I rebuilt it in sections, and then finally I just destroyed the whole thing, started over once I knew exactly what it was that I was going to build. So what I ended up doing was creating this giant worm-like thing with two tails. This one I think is about the right size. It's a smaller tail, and that one's the larger one, and it's kind of curled inwards. I am going to add other details to it, so it's not just going to be a stone creature of sorts. But I did do the mouth, and overall, I'm really enjoying the way that the mouth turned out. It looks pretty vicious. Looks like it's an actual creature. Once I finish rounding off this giant structure, I will put in the extra details. The way I had created it, as you can see, I created a wireframe on the inside to kind of decide what direction to go because I was struggling a lot with having a more fluid structure. So I decided a wireframe would work best to create the fluidity. And then I did a certain radius around it. I think it was about 11 or 12. Certain distance around it to figure out exactly how big to make each circle, and I just took the wireframe and did a circle from that wireframe. Circle, circle, circle. Again, and it was quite painstaking. I definitely messed up on the corners because I didn't know how to transfer that circle into the corners. But overall, I think it looks pretty good. I'm just going to do a little bit of a flyby to show off the different areas. You can see how it kind of doesn't really have a lot of straight areas except for where I haven't rounded it. See, there is where I'm rounding at. And you can kind of tell that I haven't done all the different sections yet. So I'm going to do that. So after I finish rounding off all the different sections, I will add in the details and it will look pretty darn awesome. It is getting very close to finished. I'm trying to decide whether I want to add texture to it, so switching out these stone blocks for other gray blocks. I think it might look really cool, but it also might just be a large wasted effort. And this project has already taken so long because I've redone it all so many times that I'm not really looking forward to spending a lot of extra effort in fixing it again. But we'll see. We'll see how that works. Now that I'm in Java, I can actually move that drop chute all the way down because the spawning algorithm is just a little bit different. Whether I actually want to do that or not, I'm not quite sure. I might still build a tree that reaches out, and I think that might actually add a little bit of liveliness if I have more wild growth going on. But I might just move it down also. We'll see how it turns out. There's still definitely a lot of work left to do along all of this area, and we'll just see what I end up deciding to do. Of course, I have spent a massive amount of time just adding in just a little bit more wild growth to the whole area, a little bit more corruption, a little bit more trees to dot the landscape. I haven't added in any of the leaves, or what would be called leaves, on them, but I did add in just a little bit more corruption. As you know, most of these are dirt hills covered with those blocks, and I decided that adding in just a little bit more corruption on the bottom, as I did over here, and as I did on this side, it just adds a little bit more character. It makes it not feel as... Oh, I can hear it. Hello? It just adds a little bit more, like, blending in with it, and just creates that little bit more of depth, I guess. I honestly don't know the word. Mesh is the word that comes to mind, and that's not quite right for that sentence. But yeah, it adds just a little bit more mesh gradient. Gradient. That's probably it. It makes it blend more. There you go. You just have to get started sometimes. It makes it blend a little bit more into it. It makes it doesn't just look like so. That was terrible grammar. Makes it blend just a little bit more so that it actually looks like it belongs there instead of just a big scoop of ice cream on top of grass, I guess. I'm not very creative today. As you can see, I also finished off the wall over here. Now, it had ended before right about there, and I spent time and just finished off the wall. I still haven't quite created a design for that soul structure. I'm thinking it's going to be just a lot bigger, probably as big as the wall or pretty darn close, and going to change up the very pillars on the side. I did see something in Minecraft Dungeons that kind of inspired me, so I might do something similar to that. We'll see. As you can see, I also added a boat here. Now, it was originally supposed to be from this spaceship and the aliens coming down and taking care of the area. Now, the spaceship is now just a giant space creature, and it doesn't really make sense that it comes from the space creature. Maybe the boat actually came here along with that structure, and maybe that's the actual spaceship. I don't quite know. I know I do have this wall here, so it does look like something was defending this area at one point, and I kind of want to keep that same theme going. Now, this was actually quite a bit of work. I didn't know where I was going with this, and I didn't really realize the size constraints were going to make a big issue. But let me make sure there's no creatures down here. I was originally going to have a gun taking souls from the wall and then shooting it at this creature trying to defend it. However, the soul gun, it looks pretty good just shooting, and it doesn't quite make sense that I'd have the same exact design on the back side. So I have the front, which has the gun. I'm going to just try not to die here, along with 2 engines on the back to push it. I'm actually kind of enjoying this design, and I don't know, it kind of works out. Actually, the part that I'm most proud of is this design right here, the gun itself. Now I use the warped wood for signs to kind of make it look like it's like holding it in, piston in the middle, a chain underneath to kind of give it this like power flow presence. And then these iron bars, which kind of gets at this rail style, and I think it just looks really nice. Now it's overheating a little bit because it's shooting off the energy. There's warped vines on top to make it look like the souls are actually kind of flowing out just a little bit, giving it this little bit of presence. I did have to add string because over time these had grown quite big, and I didn't quite know that they would do that. I never really used them in building, but it actually worked out pretty well. I like the idea of it. I don't really care for the string, but I like the idea of it. And yeah, it looks pretty good. It does kind of finish off this area right here. I am probably going to add just a little bit more corruption on this bottom part right here in this corner, just to give it a little bit more feel. I might add a few more structures just to further develop this area. I feel like there wouldn't really be a dock here just out of the blue. There has to actually be something to go along with it. So, when I have a good idea of what I'm going to do for that, I will build it, and it's probably going to go right about here. The other really big change I did to this area was changing up this mob farm. The change I did to this area was just changing up the design of the inside of this mob farm. As you can see, I took the original design and added just a little bit more character to it. I built in these pillars to give it a little bit more depth, like there's actually structure here. I put in the warped, it's not warped, what are these ones called? Crimson. I put in those crimson beams to kind of give it more structure, put in the side beams to give it more structure, put carpet on top, and overall it looks pretty darn good. This is also probably my only working experience farm at the moment. I think I have 2 other spawner farms that I have set up around the world. But overall, when I changed to Java, it changed a lot of little features of the world. Overall, it just kind of broke a lot of different things. As you can see from the spawning platform, I also have a room off to the side. I have one on the other side too. I haven't actually done any details with it. Over here is just an enchanting room along with a bunch of chests. Now I decided that the arrows just looked good. This is one of the Fletcher tables, or 2, 4, whatever the math is, of the fletching tables. And I thought just having the arrows on the side looked pretty darn good. So I added those into along with these for lighting, and I think it just looks really good. It looks a little cramped, but at the same time, kind of spacious, like there was a lot going on. And also, it gave me a reason to use sandstone. See, all of this design gave me a reason to use sandstone, which I never do, and I'm pretty thankful for that. And this red sandstone, I think that's red sandstone, because I never use it, and I have a lot of sandstone, and I never use it. Red sandstone, not so much. Regular sandstone, definitely have way too much. Here's the other side, directly opposite of the other one. I'm going to do the same style, but I haven't actually changed. I think this side is going to be more of an armor station with just lines and lines of armor. I haven't actually changed it yet. We'll do that at some point. I don't know. This actually took quite a while, along with that room, just deciding what I was going to do with it. So it might be a while before I build that room over to the side because I just kind of lost inspiration. Happens sometimes. Now that's all that I really did over here on this side of the world. So I'm going to go back over to the castle side and show off some of the stuff I had done there. Now I know it doesn't really mean much, but this wizard tower I had built back when in the streaming days a couple years ago. And I had built the glowstone as supposed to be colored orbs that were floating around. and I finally added some of the glass around it. Now you can see I did 2 out of the 3. The third one still doesn't have a color around it. I'm not sure which color, but as I was building the second one, I realized that snow was starting to go on top. Now, that wasn't a problem on my Bedrock world. Glass is technically a transparent block, and on Bedrock, it will keep snow from falling on top of it and accumulating. However, on Java, it's not. So I will have to add string eventually, but that kind of broke my build style as I was like, hey, here's this big Java change that I'm going to have to deal with. Not so inspired anymore. You know, sometimes that's all it really takes. Sometimes you're just kind of not feeling it and something just breaks that groove and it's hard to get back into right at that moment. Of course, I will finish it, but for the moment, it's 2 out of 3. That being said, I think it actually looks pretty good. I'm going to add a lot more glass just kind of free floating around to kind of keep that same vibe, just like those ones are out there, except for farther away. I want these to be focal points of energy, but still have energy kind of floating around it to still look magical. One of the biggest changes I made was actually resetting all of these roofs. See, these are all stairs, and in the corners, there is one stair block right there, and it just automatically connects so that it makes a perfect corner. However, when I switch this world over from Bedrock, they weren't automatically connecting. Now, every single one of those corners I had to reset by doing an update to it. So, like a redstone block right next to it, or replacing every single stair. And naturally, that took quite a while. And again, the snow is new to me. Really easy fix. I'll just have to add some slabs, but by the end of doing roof after roof after roof after roof, you kind of get tired of fixing little things. So it's another little thing that I'll have to add. At the moment, it just looks terrible, and I'll have to do it later. This is a spawning chamber that I created quite some time ago. It kind of looks like the Wither now that I look at it. I probably could have designed it that way. But instead, I stuck with the lava theme. Those actually hurt the mobs as they fall, so that they fall and die. I think they'll die from the drop anyways, but just in case, those lava blocks, the magma blocks, excuse me, are there. I also added this design on the front, so it looks like there's like flaming gems above this helmet, and I really like that design. I think it adds a lot of character and gives that big gray wall something to look at. Yeah, it looks pretty cool. Now, as you can see, also, I made my own banners. Now, the original design that I had for the banners actually looked like wings. Now, I changed the color schemes a little bit and added a few details, along with the texture pack that I'm using, made these kind of look like tonfas. As you might tell from these walls of the castle, I textured them. Now the textures in this texture pack isn't very different. I assume on a different texture pack it's quite a bit different. But now I have some cracked bricks along with a bunch of mossy bricks in every single one of these stone block walls. You can also see that I added some vines, but the problem with the vines is they tend to just keep growing and growing and growing. Now I can surround them in string if I feel like that's something reasonable to do, but I don't. So they're going to just keep growing, and when I feel like harvesting them, I'll have extra vines, and that kind of works for a separate farm. Because I kept running out of mossy brick, I didn't have any vine farms to really use. This kind of works for a farm of vines that I just didn't have access to at the time. As you remember, I did say all of the stairs stopped lining up with each other, so basically this is how they looked before. apparently I missed this corner. But when I switched over my world, every single stair that was possibly connected together turned out to look like this. This doesn't quite look the same way, and if I just update this one block, watch as I put this back. See? It works perfectly. The other thing that I changed as I was rebuilding sections of this place was I took the dragon egg out of that chest that I had it in and put it inside this glass shell. Now it has white glass on the bottom with light blue glass encasing it, and it gives it this look like it's actually like has a power beam kind of levitating it, and it looks pretty darn good. See, before I had a chest here that was inserting into the storage system, but I redid all of that, so the space was kind of wasted, and I think this is actually a nice showcase for this dragon egg. Heck of a lot better than just leaving it in a chest, that's for sure. There was another big change that I had happen. Right before my game started crashing, I was trying to add in all the fish back into the world. Not into the world, into my fish tank. And they were all messed up, and I went and collected more tropical fish and put them into my tank. All that was happening on Bedrock, however, not on Java. Java, the tropical fish work as appropriate, they work as intended, actually intended, and yeah, I get to have my fish back. They do, however, in this version, school a lot, so there's quite a few times where you just don't see them. But that kind of works because adding in so many fish would cloud up the fish tank quite a bit. Yeah, I like having the tropical fish back into my fish tank. It just adds that extra little bit of life. The biggest problem is this version of Java, in order to have a lot of the inventory mods that I wanted, it doesn't include the glow ink sack or any of the things from that update, 1.17, I think it was, because this is 1.16.5. So I have empty spaces. Not very many, not very many at all, but I do have some empty spaces. I did decide to add extra chests, and I was going to do more barrels because they kind of just look flush and, fit better. I'm going to do more barrels, but I had an extra chest on me at the time when this filled up. So as you can see, I have a lot of shulker boxes of just sand and a lot of stone. And yeah, I decided to just put them into these barrels on the bottom so that I can eventually, not fill up my actual storage system with it. Hopefully at some point I will actually use them, but in the meantime, it's just taking up less space. Another notable change that I did was this fire room. I actually built a little bit more design. So I did the roof, finally, and I have a little bit of smoke up. Oh, I didn't fully fill it in. Okay, well, I'll do that in a little bit. I have a little bit of smoke up there. It's just normal blackstone to kind of create a little bit of smoky design. And I have this shard in the middle that kind of looks like it's like powering the local area. Maybe it's magical, maybe it's not. Who knows? That can be up to your discretion. I built this giant bridge. Now, I did have the original bridge going across, and I liked it, but it looked very unsupported. So I built these support beams to fill it out, and I'm kind of liking the design too. See, you can also see that I'm using stairs here quite a bit. And you can just tell. You can just tell that the stairs kind of misaligning themselves was quite a mess. And I'm sure that there's portions that I haven't fixed yet in different places, but when I find them, I'll fix them. And I did design a actual setup for over here. Now the floor is all burnt. This is, logs set here with fires underneath of these cauldrons, kind of boiling the water. It was originally supposed to be a potion area, and Java doesn't have potion brewing in cauldrons, so I had to change them all to water. I did try to put lava in them, but Java in 1.16 doesn't have lava in cauldrons either, so it's just water. It just looks like it's creating steam, and that's okay. Yeah. All right. But other than that, there is burnt ground underneath, like the fire has kind of spread out and thrown some ash everywhere. And I actually kind of like this crazy design. I can't see myself building like this all the time with this much texture. It's just a little bit too much for me. I think I might change the texture of the walls just a little bit to add different variations of yellow, different variations of red and orange. Maybe, maybe. I kind of like it now. Um, we'll see if there's any that match close enough that I can just add just a little bit more darkness, a little bit more lightness. You know, give it a little bit more feel to it. But this is looking pretty darn sweet to me. And of course, you can see the contrast right across the dirt path having replaced all of the sandstone. Um, yeah, I, the grass just made more sense and it looked better, and sandstone didn't. So I switched it all with dirt, and then you can see the contrast with my original build over here, and the logs that I have in perfect formation. It kind of has this variation, but it doesn't quite have quite as much character as this. So over here, I am going to put some armor stands also to add just a little bit more pizzazz. You know, like there's actually people working here. I did also, at the end of this room, create a giant grass field. Now, I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with this. I'm thinking I might set up like a reactor or something over here. But maybe not. I like this crystal idea in the center, or whatever that would be, a heart, maybe. I like that idea, but this area over here needs something going for it, and I'm not sure what to do. I went all the way until it started to come out of the walls over here, out of the floor, to find out where my boundaries were. And then from there, I can build and not destroy the floor. So once I figure all of this out, I knock out the rest of the ceiling. I will put it all back, but thinner, and then I'll have the boundaries of this room. On the side of this castle, there is this space. It's right next to all the farms and stuff. And I had a little area right here. It was just stone. It was just the mountainside right here. There wasn't really anything going on. So I'm going to add a little bit of grass here, a little bit of plantery, you know, give it a little bit more character. But I added this room, and I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to use this space yet. It looks pretty good. It has a little bit of character to it. And, you know, I'll change it and adjust it as it is, but I wanted something going on. One last thing I was working on, I totally forgot. On the side of this building, on the side of the castle, excuse me, on the way to the chorus fruit, there is this building that really was just shallow and there was nothing going on with it. So I added, not, I didn't add anything here. I spaced it out a little bit, added a little bit of character to it, you know, just gave it a little bit of a floor and everything. I'm not really sure. Maybe it's just it was supposed to be a villager hangout. Maybe I'll add an extra armor stand over here. This is going to be their bedroom along with a window just looking out the mountainside here. Um, and that side I'm not sure about. This side's going to be a mine, I think. Maybe that will be the entrance to my mine. I'm not quite sure. I do have this giant room down by Bedrock where I've just been mining like crazy. Maybe I'll make it really easy access from up here. I'm not quite sure. But yeah, it's there. And, you know, there's just a little bit of character to everything. I wanted to add just a little bit more. So I added a little bit more. The last thing that I did, the last thing was I redid the floor here. I gave it a little bit more personality. This was the entrance to my original mob spawner, and I switched sides of it. to make it more friendly. I did run out of endstone though, so I'll have to go get some more of that. But down at the bottom here, you can see that I kind of cleaned this up. I haven't shown this really on camera yet. It looks hideous because it's from a long time ago, but I did put in the radius here before it had a lot of just extra stone and stuff in the way. But I put in the radius here to show where the spawner is actually working, along with cleaning up this path to the other spawner because it's a dual spawner. There's a zombie spawner in here. The radius was already here. I cleaned it up again though because I had some extra stuff over here. Just kind of cleaned it up all together, and yeah, it's something. It's not a lot, but you know, that's really how Minecraft works, I think, is a lot of the times it's best to just work on it one project at a time, you know? One little thing, and then you add to it, and then you add to it, and then you add to it, and eventually you have these amazing, amazing builds. I did find out two things when I switched over to Java, though. When I switched my world over, I used the same seed, but the whole process requires me just copying the world over onto a different world. So it changes a few things. This is no longer a monument. I did try changing this all over into a different Guardian farm, and that's how I found out that this is no longer a monument. This is the second monument that I have. This is the one that was actually a farm, and it's just not a farm anymore. It doesn't count as a ocean monument anymore, so it's completely useless. I might just build this giant structure here instead and figure out what to do from there. But it's not an ocean monument anymore. So I'm gonna have to go through the whole process of clearing out an ocean monument again, just to have a guardian farm again. Oh, yeah. The other big change that I noticed is that this is no longer the end. So when I did the Guardian farm, I found out that that was no longer Guardian farm. It is still deep ocean, but it's not a Guardian farm. And the biomes are different, including the end. The end is not the same. Now, it wouldn't be a problem if I hadn't built here, but I have. And I don't really look forward to rebuilding this circle or anything from it, or that Enderman farm that I had created. I just don't want to do it again. I died. I don't want to do it again. So, you know, yeah. I've looked into mods to change the biomes, but there's none. There's none that I could find that do it now. Not of 1.16.5. So I'll have to figure out how to do it, and just change all this back. If I just change back this section, I'd be okay. To be honest, if I just change back like the original island, I think I'd be okay, especially that one. As you can see, not even the Enderman farm is working the same. There's creepers, skeletons, all of that. So this Enderman, Ender as it's called, it doesn't work. It does give me other mobs occasionally, but it doesn't work as an Ender. And yeah, I'll figure out something else. That'll be it for today, guys. I'll catch you all next time. Thanks for watching.